spiritual book, and that you're just encouraging the person's higher self without committing to one business.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
Right, exactly. It's inspirational. And more than anything, people are looking to be inspired in this world.
absolutely. Thank you so much, Donna, for taking the time and for sharing your wisdom. I've really enjoyed our conversation.
My pleasure.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Now, thank you all for hanging. Anyone going to write a book now? I saw someone downloaded the information, which is wonderful. I do want to invite you all, for those of you who are here, I'm going to invite you to consider working with me, either scheduling some time with me one-on-one, or joining me for a masterclass. So I'm going to be doing a business masterclass next week, 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday of next week. And certainly would love to spend some time with you working through a business challenge that you may be facing into. And Das will drop those into the chat. We then have our next speaker, who I am so excited to be introducing to you all. I have to tell you, that I think our first conversation, I just could not get out of the deep dialogue with this wonderful human. Cynthia Harrison is known as the holistic mystic, bringing a remarkable blend of experience from ninja and military service to advanced degrees in metaphysics, anthropology, social work, and the visual arts. As an advanced yogini, energy medicine clinical practitioner, spiritual consultant, and minister of unconditional love, she combines spiritual, technology, biofield medicine, and healing arts to guide individuals through profound transformation. Her innovative approach, approaches seamlessly integrating mind, body, soul, and spirit, drawing from her expertise in human behavior, conscious evolution, and sensory motor psychotherapy to facilitate deep personal healing and wellness experiences that empower individuals to reach their full potential. Please welcome to the stage Cynthia J. Harrison. Welcome,
I
welcome.
was, thank you, Dr. Love. I
Yes,
feel like we have this new unconditional relationship. And I wanted to write to you yesterday, but I'm going to say it now. You are, and we'll maybe speak about the R-ing. Such an amazing, there's no words. I listened yesterday to the speakers, and I was hearing how they all speak of love and fear, whether they knew it or not, and uh, and how you held the space and continue to. So I just want to put a shout out there for you, and give you a little unconditional love, which includes both love and fear.
thank you. And I got to tell you something in mirroring what you're saying. Actually, I get emotional thinking about it, which I'm okay with emotions. I
Let's
think
let's let's go there.
right. I think the
Yeah.
profound dialogue, and I want everyone here who's listening to lean in for a minute, because not because I think I'm so special, not at all. But I don't think I'm alone. I
Hello,
don't think
hello.
okay, yes, I am special. But what I mean by this is this humanity, this part of what I'm expressing to you all is something that many humans have also undergone. And that is, I didn't have a full appreciation for exactly what Cynthia mentioned, which is the you cannot have life without fear and love. They are the two sides of this same coin. And really truly understanding, appreciating both. And then I'll let her talk about the fear of love and the fear of fear. But that conversation for me opened me up to a whole other way of understanding this human experience, this world reality. And I don't say things like that often. And I don't even have realizations like that often, because I've done a lot of thinking, and it was just like for me. And I'm sure it's for others. So I want people to lean in, and maybe Cynthia, you can talk a little bit about what that is about as we talk about love.
Yeah.
in the
Well, I
workplace.
heard you, yeah, the first question for most people, and I wasn't able to watch everybody, but I listened and was with you as much as I could be. And you were asking, what is love in particular situations and whatnot for different people. And I want to ask all of you, and there's no right or wrong answer because there's love and fear, but what is the love that you're speaking of? Because if we're speaking about live out love, I love that person, it's all love, it's all light and love. Where does that come from? What is your belief and your conditioning on that word? What does it feel like? And I loved our first conversation because you wrote me some things that helped me understand what others may be triggered in particular ways, which is such a joy. And I say that I am here to ignite that in people so that they can have a direct experience. A mystic will give you a direct experience. Okay. We can talk and talk and talk, but if you're feeling in your body, and I may bring in some numbers, so let's just see where we go. But number one, there's 10 spiritual bodies. Number one is soul into this physical body. So that first place, that one, and we say we want to be with one and unity and whatnot, that like where is the belief of what that is, how that is, and how you feel it in the system, right? So let's just get into the love and fear, because this is what often triggers, well, literally everything that everybody has spoken, every word, every meaning, I'm a meaning maker, right, has love and fear in it. And multiple aspects of it. So if you say, we get into feminine, masculine, which is what we sort of started to talk about last time. And, is that woman and man? No. Is that male and female? Well, yes and no, right? There's levels of this. And feminine, for me, is a dimension. And we are in the feminine dimension. So we could call it, some call it love, but it is actually fear. And fear does not have a charge on it. Love does not have a charge on it. We have love and fear. What most of us are talking about, and, some people may not be, they may be in that unconditional understanding of it or direct experience of it, is the charge that when we feel something or it stops us from doing anything is the fear of love or the fear of fear. Love and fear in itself is just love and fear. Does that make sense? Do you feel, well, I know you do, Dr. Love. I'm going to call you
Yeah,
Dr. Love.
so when I hear that, and for those who are listening as well, I think what I'm hearing is fear and love are neutral. There's not a negative or positive, there's no judgments, right? If you're fearful, you're fearful. If you're in a feeling of love, you're loving. There's not a judgment of either, right?
Let's unpack that a little more, just for clarity. So clarification of unconditional. A lot, I believe, and let me know in the chat, when we speak of we want love, I love that person, we may be thinking of unconditional love. So then there's that clarification of like, what is unconditional love? Unconditional love has all, it is complete, right? Absolute. We talk about the absolute in different spiritual teachings and business and whatever, the absolute bottom line, the absolute truth and whatnot. Absolute, if we want to play on words, the absolute or something like that. It's, it's the absolving. The absolute is the absolving. So can I draw?
Of course.
I'm going to draw.
Is it a question?
Because it may help you, all of you, sort of get a visual, because I'm creative. So when I speak of the numbers, I'm talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's a crossover at the 5, right? So the bottom triangle is survival ego. In spiritual understandings and how we look at the more advanced, I don't want to say higher or lower because there is technically no high lower. This is what we would call earth. Let's just say plainly earth. We could say earth, the feminine aspect, the drop in religious things. And this one is spiritual ego, masculine, mother, father type things. The 5 is really interesting. So I can't possibly teach you all the numbers and the spiritual bodies and how they relate to every human as a species. I've spent more than 30 years studying the human physically, physiologically. I know the ins and outs of the brain and whatnot. I've worked with the most traumatized people on the planet, and I've been with the most traumatized people on the planet in the military. I was a quartermaster sergeant in an infantry unit when I was in my 20s, leading men.
Wow.
And how I led, I was reflecting on this, to how this links to how I was. I was unconscious about it, but when I reflect, they called me the den mother. It was a lovely term because, I led with love. But I led in a way that it wasn't airy-fairy. It was seeing the love and fear. And when I'm preparing these young men, most of them are boys, to do really difficult things, I didn't swear at them. I didn't what we call bastardize. There's a huge thing in the military, bastardization. It's illegal now, but it wasn't when I was there. You were forced to, and sworn at and degraded and demoralized and all of that. And all the other section commanders were men, young men. And I would hear, and they were my friends, and they were yelling and screaming and abusing and to get their guys to do what they need to do. And I would look at them and, I guess I did judge a little back then. It was I was 23, 25, something like that. And go, well, how is it that these guys would die for me? Not because I'm a woman, right? Because I had to teach. It's called the qualification 343, which is a rifleman, but women couldn't have that. So I had to teach what I wasn't able to, put on my, all of that. So I went through very young, seeing in the world this love and fear playing out. And I talk in circles, so bear with me if you've lost me a little. So how we can be very clear, recognize the fear of fear and the fear in love of what we're about to do, right? And walk into it. We are not, and this is, if I don't get across anything else, and maybe Donna, this will be my book, although there's my husband's written 5 books on this, so hence the House of Unconditional Love, which is our nonprofit. But where was I? So recognizing what you're going into and not saying, suck it up, you put on your big boy pants, whatever, you pull up your socks, all those, bit harsher in the military, but you're going to overcome, you're going to push through, we're going to through it. Going back to unconditional love, you cannot have a relationship with fear in that way and be in love unconditionally. Why? Because it's a toxic relationship. So I am all about how to bring, how to build, how to be, how to see the love and fear in everything. Hence, when all the speakers were speaking, underneath everything is, and we can call it anything. We could call it yin yang. We could call it through the numbers. We could call it through the energy, subtle energy. In business, one of the ladies yesterday was talking about the business and a friend, and sort of seeing where that love and fear sat in those modes of being, right? So how do you feel what you're feeling? And that's why I said when you were feeling that, yeah, feel it. Let's feel it. Where's the sensation in the body? Because that is through the nervous system, through the subtle energies into the nervous system. Number 5 is the interface of the energies to the body, right? It's also linked to the nervous system energetically, right? So there's all these different layers. We can look at it from any perspective, and I can give you the same equation type thing. So that's the beauty of this work, is that you can look at anything from any direction and see where you're feeling or not feeling your love and fear, right? You fear of love. So when I'm saying feeling, it's a sensation in the body. And if you push through the sensation of the body or numb, you know, all the F's, fight, flight, freeze, feign death, the other F that you might not say publicly, right? Or copulation, you know, they're all the F's because they're nervous system, they're our stress responses. So we've got our adaptive strategies, we've got our ways of protecting ourselves, right? So if you've got, do I need to take a breath for you?
No, I mean, it's great. It's great. I was going to ask actually the group if, number one, if they find this as exciting as I do. So I love sort of the expansion of sort of thinking about this balance that you're suggesting, not balance, this place, right? Where you really are between, I think, the 5, right? Where there's both the love and fear
Well,
energetically,
you're all
right?
of it. Yeah.
Yep.
Let's draw that back again.
So I wanted to ask,
Go.
yeah, I want to ask you a question. And this is about love and specifically about leadership, because I'm testing a little bit of my definition, so you can kind of proof it and tell me where I may be off. And as we think about this in our work. So I've sat a lot because I have this name love and I think about love a lot. I think about desiring the best for someone. Like when I desire the very best for you, I'm going to be willing to tell you things you don't like to hear because it's best for you, meaning it's going to grow you, right? Like maybe it's not going to feel good for me to tell you this, but I know if I tell you this, you're going to waken up to maybe a part of yourself, whatever. So it allows for discipline and affection is my point, right? It allows for both. So when I think about loving myself, I think about desiring the best for myself, right? Which I call excellence, right? Trying to strive for my best is loving myself. And when I think of choosing a world of love or choosing a world of that as sort of our goal, if that's our goal, it's not ignoring fear, it's using fear to inform us as to how we can do more of our best. Because the fear informs us, right? Of like, oh man, like there's potential that some of us kill. Well, then how do we love each other enough so that we discourage that, right?
Yeah. I gotcha. I got all of that. It's beautiful. First of all, I'll say the majority of humans, even myself, we're unconscious of it. And so if I said to you, are you scared? And if you asked me this years ago, because I'm a warrior, I'm a ninja. That's not just, oh, I'm pretend. No, I did ninja kai taijutsu. I've done martial arts, unarmed combat. I've trained to kill, right? In my early life. And that was my conditioning as a young woman. And I lost my identity and I understood and I worked towards, all the gender stuff. And then I got out because they said, you can't go any further because you're not a man. I was like, all right, well, I'm going to change the system and then up yours. And I left. And now and then I started to work with the people that were broken by the system, in trauma and brain injury and all of that sort of stuff. And I've always been mystically inclined. And in fact, my granddaughter, who's 11, she sees, feels, senses, and knows in mysteriously beautiful ways too. And, there are people around her that are starting to be fearful of that. And once you understand something and acknowledge it, the fear, then that's the power. So let me touch on it in this way. I want to get to the 10, but so I've drawn it to remind me. If you're not aware, if I say to you, well, what is driving you? And you have some consciousness to what you're passionate about or why you're doing this series. If I drop that into your system, I call it dropping it into the body, and gave you the space, which is number 3, by the way, but, you know, positive mind, negative mind, you know, neutral mind. So neutral mind is 4. So 3 is positive mind. I'm very like, yeah, as well. I'm very positive. So I had to bring myself into, that's my life's work, is to have that direct relationship with fear and loving the fear so we can be moving in unconditional love, right? So looking at what's behind your decision, looking at what's behind the behavior. Before I drew this and I rubbed it out. So if this is your true identity, this is your mindful awareness, this is your, like, whatever you want to label it, Satnam, true identity, all of that, right? And when you do a meditation and whatnot, you might get a little feel of that space. And students and people I work with, they say what it feels like. It's all sort of different because it's different meaning making, different beliefs and conditioning, different encoding and whatnot. But it's peaceful, let's say that. It's that space of peaceful. So when we're talking about who are we, having a relationship with the self, majority of humans are relating to an aspect of self that isn't their true self. Right? And I think some of your speakers touched on that or mentioned that. So as a therapist, as the other side of the therapy, and it's the same in the mystical understanding, so that's why they merge beautifully for me. We have this state of where we are, and then we're born, and then we have all these experiences, and this is this next layer, and we may have traumas and, you know, attachment, big T traumas, little T traumas, and all the different attachment, bonding, attunement, right? And this is all in here. So the one that drives the vehicle, the one that drives Dr. Love, right?
Right.
Is navigating all this to get out into this outer circle that is where, and you mentioned it before as well, where the behaviors come out and meet the world. So all of this has to happen and is happening, and we have multiple different words for it. You know, all the psychology and you know, sciences and whatnot have their different ways of talking about it, but the core of it is my little simple oh, can you see the whole thing?
No, we can see it. Yeah, we can see it. Yeah.
And when I was working with traumatized children, the ones that no one else could work with, as the safety net of the safety net, because people were working in here, and I was looking at what's the behavior telling you. Look at the behavior, look at the movement, look at the posture, look at how we're expressing and whatnot. But in a nutshell, what is the behavior telling us? And the behavior, yes, with children, you know, you're teaching parents and teachers and other people around them, even their therapists and whatnot. But the behavior is telling you what's going on. They don't have the language or the consciousness to say. So when we look at the behavior and you have an understanding of the nervous system, you can see what's going on in the nervous system. You can assist them to feel what's going on. And then that's their fear of fear or fear of love. Fear of love feels like fear. We say, oh, love feels like, oh, that's still coming through the nervous system, right? Like, think about it, like really, it's coming through and you're feeling it. The only reason you're going, oh, I love that person, is because you've associated that feeling with something lovely. But if underneath that, you understood the story, that feeling of, oh, for instance, one that's interesting in relationships, like how we're drawn to the same people, it's a feeling. And even though you may not, some people may not feel the feeling, I'm saying sensation when I say feeling. It's a sensation, It's a charge in the body. It's a voltage. And while that voltage is held in that system, you don't have it to utilize into your powerful presentation into the world. You talk about empowerment. No, I talk about your power. You have it, but it's caught up in a charge.
Something else.
You're here and you say, oh, I want to get here. We talk about the gap a lot in business and all that sort of stuff. You're here and you want to get there. Well, the way to get there is to create the full circuit. And the only way to get that charge, electricity, the body is electric, to make its circuit. And what is unconditional love? Complete, right? Is to feel and experience that, right? Feel it, embrace the sensation, accept and build a new relationship with that sensation, aka fear, right? Or love. And then rise, or you could say relate, or you could say recover, but that's the FEAR method in a nutshell. You can start to look at it yourself on a certain level. There are ones that we really, as humans, it's difficult for us to see because they're so protected, they're just so protected. So what I do in amongst all of that is, I'm not taking you, we're not talking story. This is underneath the story. The story can tell you what's going on, right? The love and fear in the story, or the numbers in the story, the energy in the story. But it's about taking a piece, a dot of the story. So it might be, I don't know, think of something. You could just think of something now, something that's challenging you, something that is an email, something you have to do. You might be about to speak.
Yeah, it could be like getting up to work out.
Yeah, it could be anything. Talking to your children and you're not sure what to say about a catastrophe or a divorce or whatever it is, right? You're going to have a sensation in the body, a charge. And if we don't meet the charge with love, right? And we start fearing it, punching it in the nose, pushing it away, burying it in the dirt, that charge stays stuck and the looping continues to happen. There's no close or it's not looping, it's the zzz, right? And we need to come back and go,
Discord.
Love and fear, right? So there's lots of different things going on here, but the point of it is, or the point, the focus, where we start as a human, the 9 into the 1, so 9 is soul, is that point. And if we can sit and be okay and give space to that existence, another meditation you might like to try in your own time is I exist. Just sitting and being okay with existence, and notice, slow it right down and just notice if your body goes, for what? How? Oh, I exist, so I have to do this, or whatever it is, right? I notice it's very difficult for some people. Some people are fine. Yeah, I exist. I am, So I talk about doing, being, and R-ing, right? Human doing, human being, and R-ing into all of it. The 10, the 0 of the 10, which is our unconditional love, is the 0, right? And in the center of the 10 is that 5, where we're crossing over, or we can invert and flip. So anything that you have an issue with, you bring it to the point and it can flip it and merge it into the 0. And I may have lost some of you there, but because I love the numbers, but you don't really have the code for the numbers yet. So I apologize.
It made sense
right?
to me. No, it made sense to me. Though.
Okay,
I think
good.
what you're saying is when you embrace the fear and the love in an equal measure around something that you have an issue with, right? And then I think when you inject love into that, meaning you bring it full circle, you'll be able to resolve what it is.
There's still language there.
Okay. Oh,
Love.
sorry for my language.
No, it's fine, but it's so I appreciate you so much because you give me an opportunity to just refine. And that's I was going to make up a word there. I often make up words. It's the refining of the process because everybody knows this. They do. They hear what I'm saying and they're like, yeah, yeah. In the practice and in sometimes the smaller everyday pieces is where it gets lost.
So I will,
So
sorry,
go
I
ahead.
did want to say this. I want to say this. So I know we have a free gift to share.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and what I want to do is I want to invite people to, first of all, recognize that if you've enjoyed this discussion, some of us really lean in and go, whoa, right? And some of you may be like, well, this is not where I'm at in my life, right? That's okay. I love that if you are hearing this discussion, there's a teacher for you. There's someone who can take you down a journey maybe you've not been down before. Um, and I think the aspect of what I really love about your work is that you have such training in so many facets, and I will say with so many extremities of our lived experiences that you really have insight that you can give to the simple person or the very complex, right? In terms of their life experience. So I want you to get to explain your gift and then we
Okay.
can encourage people to take advantage of it, frankly. I know, right?
So um, my gift is a PDF that is really just going through some of the key things. The gift really is that if you would like to come and just speak to me, or you would like me to take you through that process, there's a call there. Like I literally, I don't like I'm not going to sell you. My job here is to raise awareness around, and I know, oh, sorry, business people. I'm an entrepreneur, and I, I know my stuff, and and I want you to have an opportunity if this calls to you to experience it directly, because unless you experience it directly, the words are words are words are words are words, you know. So I was going to come back around to talk about something you said, but we're out of time. So
I know we could talk for hours, which is a beautiful thing. It actually makes me really happy to have you as a friend. I um I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for caring so much about this at a global level, right? And being willing to make this your stand in the world. And I'm excited about standing with you.
everyone says we want peace, we want peace. The only way we can have peace is to realize, recognize, and rise to that our unacknowledged fear creates the global fear in the
Here.
world,
Yeah, agreed.
right?
150%.
And
So
so,
that's
yeah,
why starting with one is everything, right? Starting with yourself, actually, it's such a funny thing, right? But it literally is the difference between the future of the world going one way or the other. It starts with your own world. So thank you,
yeah, yeah.
Cynthia, very much.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. What a pleasure.
Okay. Love
Love the
you.
energy of this group. Thank you.
All right.
And
Cheers.
you,
Bye.
Dr. Love. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, hey, I'm going to share one